Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, kitchen, as always. Today I thought we'd try some oatmeal cookies. So, a friend of mine had asked on YouTube, he's Salty Rabbit, but he had messaged me and asked me if I had an oatmeal cookie recipe. He wanted to make some oatmeal cookies. And I knew I had one where I'd made them before a while back, but I couldn't find the recipe. So I looked up a recipe that comes from Joy of Baking, the website, and she's also got a YouTube channel. Absolutely amazing. If you get a chance, check her out. And it was, I do believe it's the exact same recipe I used a few years back when I made them. Anymore I don't make cookies a whole lot, so I only have a few standard recipes. Like, we always make peanut butter cookies and snickerdoodles. Those are our two favorites. Chocolate chip, I am on the ongoing search for a chocolate chip recipe that is perfect. And we've been working on one of our own by adding a little bit of this, taking away from that. But anyhow, we're here to talk oatmeal cookies today, and I thought, you know what, we haven't had an oatmeal cookie in forever, so I want to do this recipe also. That way when he goes to make them, sorry, I gotta look at something real quick. Okay, when he goes to make them, he can use this to bake along with the recipe from the website. And this go around, I didn't change anything or take anything away from it, because it does have several options. But I want to make them the way she would make them, to see how they turn out. Now, these oatmeal cookies, according to the recipe, they should be crisp on the outer edges, which most cookies should be that way, and still chewy in the center. And that is how I like my oatmeal cookies, is a little chewy. And if it goes like a standard cookie recipe, if you bake them a little longer, they'll get a little crispier. But anyhow, we're not going to try that today. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you found me. I hope you get something out of this video and any other videos you check out of mine. If you're returning, awesome. You're a glutton for punishment, but awesome. Don't forget to hit subscribe down below. Thumbs up, thumbs down. That's important in two reasons. As I said in many of my videos, that lets me know how I'm doing, whether you liked it or not, without leaving a comment. And it helps put me in the algorithm for, other people's feeds, so it can grow our community. And that's what we're about here, is being good neighbors and getting along and being a good community, no matter what our thought process is. Everybody should have the ability to be nice to somebody. Comments, of course, are always welcome. I love comments. I try to respond to all of them, which is fairly easy, seeing how I don't get a lot of them at the moment, but that could change any day now, I think. I gotta stay positive. I like positive attitude, and I try to be nice all the time. Doesn't always work. Sometimes I get aggravated, a little snippy, but anyhow. So, that being said, like I said, comments, always just be nice. Think before you type, so to speak. Let me get the camera moved down to the countertop here, and we'll start going over the recipe, putting this thing together. I will give you the recipe in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, or whatever the proper measurement is, but I'll also give you almost everything in grams. That way you should you can do it either way. Not everybody uses cups, tablespoons, and teaspoons. Some people use grams. So, and I will have a list of the ingredients down in the description box at the end of the video. I've started doing that about a month ago, and it really seems to be helpful for some people, and that's what I want to do. Alright, so let me get the camera moved, and we'll get started on these cookies and see how they turn out. Alright, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so down here on the counter, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our dry ingredients together. Now, the recipe recommends you sift your flour. I don't disagree with that. So, in this bowl, this wire mesh sifter or strainer, I have 90 grams, 3/4 cup of flour, and I use my scale. Scales are important. You should always have one, especially with baking. Cooking, maybe not so much, but baking, definitely. But I've got 3/4 cup, 90 grams of all-purpose flour. And in this, I am going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. That is 2 grams of baking soda, 2 grams of salt, but 1 gram of cinnamon. And that's because cinnamon is light, so it doesn't weigh as much. And we're just going to throw that in there too. All right, so got that in there, and then we're just going to whisk this in, or we're going to sift it through, and this will help, break up any lumps, clumps. It gives your flour a little bit of fluffiness and extra goodness to it, but it mostly breaks up lumps and clumps. See how I got lumps and clumps down there? Boom, just like that. And that way we're good and sifted. All right, so now we can set that to the side, and we're going to move on to the wet ingredients of our cookies, so to speak. So I'm using a stand mixer for this. If you don't have a stand mixer, it's okay. You can use a regular hand mixer. You can use a whisk, a spoon, whatever. I watch a guy on YouTube who's actually on TikTok also, and it's B. Dylan something. Great guy. But he very rarely does he use a mixer of any kind. He uses more of he just uses a spoon or a whisk. There wasn't always mixers, so you had to do them by hand. Let me move you up here so you can see a little better. There we go. All right, but I'm gonna use my stand mixer, paddle attachment. If you're using a hand mixer, just use your hand mixers. But first thing we're gonna add to this is 3/4 cup, which is a stick and a half of butter, or 200 and I don't remember. I'm sorry, 170 grams of just regular unsalted butter, and it's at room temperature. When baking, as always, everything should be at room temperature. And what we're going to do is we're going to cream this up real quick. All right, we got that creamed up. And then, as always, in between every step, and if it's a long step, say like you got to mix for a while, you'll want to stop, but you want to scrape everything down, get it off the sides, make sure everything's, in this case, I know it's just butter, but we want to make sure there's no lumps in there or clumps or anything like that. And we'll get that scraped off the sides. And then to this, we are going to add, I think it's 1 cup. Yes, 1 cup, 220 grams of light brown sugar, and you want that packed. To show you what packed is, we'll pretend this is the measuring cup, right? This is a 1 cup measuring cup, even though it's not. See how it's like just sitting all over the place? You want to take that and you want to push it down in. That's packed. That means there's no air in there. With brown sugar being soft like it is, it has a tendency to not just go straight down to the bottom or, have air pockets in it. So we're going to put that in here. It's 1 cup, 220 grams of light brown sugar, just like such. And we're going to mix this until it is smooth and creamy. All right, and it's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes to do this. Okay, so we'll let that beat for a couple minutes, and now we're all nice and smooth and creamy. I don't know if I mentioned it. Matter of fact, I don't think I did mention it at all. But very first step we wanted to do was preheat our oven to 350 degrees. That way it's getting nice and warmed up. I got mine on. It's still not warmed up yet, but mine is on. And that should be the first step anytime you bake anything, is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. There are very few exceptions to that. So we'll go ahead and give this a good scrape, but see how it's got a nice, light, creamy look to it? Almost a peanut butter look, but not creamy peanut butter consistency, because the sugar, even though it's been beat in there and it's nice and creamy, it hasn't broke down yet, so it still looks a little grainy. All right, so the next thing we want to add to this, I do believe, is, all right, we got those together. We want to add our eggs, honey, and vanilla. So we are going to put 1 large egg, which weighs 50-ish grams. I'll say 50 grams, but it can be off by a gram or two either direction. It's an egg. You can't really control exactly the weight. but you want that at room temperature also. So we're gonna put 1 egg in there. And then the next ingredient is optional. It is 1 tablespoon of honey. And that honey weighs 22 grams. And we're gonna put that in there. If I can get it all in there. There we go. All right. Get our honey in there. And then we are going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's 4 grams. So 22 grams of honey, or 1 tablespoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Make sure you use a pure vanilla extract. I mean, you don't have to, but it tastes better. And then we've got our 1 egg in there at 50 grams. And then we're going to mix this up. And we just want to combine it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we got that incorporated. It took me a while to learn the difference between incorporated and thoroughly mixed. And there's like a 1,000 different sayings in the baking world. But incorporated means you can't see the stuff anymore. It's all disappeared. Like right now, you can't really see the egg down in there. Or the vanilla and honey. That means it's incorporated. We've got it in there. So we'll give that a good stir. Make sure we got everything mixed up in the bottom. Get the stuff off the sides. That way we know we're all playing well together. And then we get to add our dry ingredients in, which was the flour, the salt, the cinnamon, and the baking soda. Get that out of the way. Put that in there, like such. Where did I set it? There it is. Now we're just simply going to put our dry ingredients in. Just like such. Boom. Dry ingredients in. And we're just going to combine these, right? So we'll start on low, so that way we don't get flour and everything all over the kitchen. Then once it's good and solid, we'll do that. We'll turn it up. All right, we got that mixed up good. We got incorporated mixed. Now we're pretty much done with our mixer because everything else we're going to fold in. Now, I mean, I suppose you could use your mixer, if you're using a stand mixer to continue on, but I'm going to fold everything in because that's what the directions say. That's what the recipe says to do. All right, that's the mixture out of the way. Get this. Make sure we got everything good and combined. You can never ever scrape and scrape your bowl too much. I mean, ever. Get a spatula to scrape that off with right quick. All right. So the next thing we're going to add to this is just a series of fun shenanigans, really. We are going to add 3 cups of, which is 260 grams of old-fashioned rolled oats. Now, let's say you don't have old-fashioned rolled oats, and you want to use quick oats. You're fine with that. I want to show you what the difference is between the two, though, if you can see it very well. All right, see how those are like big, slightly thick oats? Those are old-fashioned rolled oats. These over here are quick oats. They're smaller, they're thinner. They're processed the same way as far as the breaking them out of their shell. One's just sliced thin, one's not. I ran out of old-fashioned rolled oats, but I still needed a quarter a cup, so we're just going to use some quick oats in it. That's the only deviation I had from that, but we're going to put that in there like such, and then stir that in. All right, with that stirred in, scrape that off. I mean, I suppose I don't have to scrape my spatula off every time, but it's always nice to have a clean start, I guess. Yeah. Now, one thing you don't want to use is what's called steel oats, and they take twice as long to cook as a rolled oat. There is a bit of a difference, and they're super thick. Okay, so the next things we want to add to this, we can just add the next 3 ingredients all at once. I'm putting in a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. Now, these 3 ingredients here are kind of optional. You can use chocolate chips. You can use white chocolate chips. Whatever suits your fancy. I'm just using semi-sweet chocolate chips. You can even use milk chocolate chips. But it's a half a cup or 85 grams of chocolate chips. And then I'm going to put a half a cup of raisins in it. Like I said, optional. If you don't like raisins, you don't have to put them in. And a half a cup is 75 grams. And then the last thing I'm going to put in here is a half a cup. I'm sorry, 1 cup or 120 grams. There goes my oven. A half a cup or 120 grams of walnuts, chopped up walnuts. You can toast these prior to if you'd like. I did not. And that'll help bring out that oil some, but I think them being in the oven for the amount of time they're going to be in there, it should bring out the oil in and of itself. So we're going to put those in there. And then we're going to stir this up. You can also use pecans, walnut, whatever suits your fancy. Almonds. Okay, so we got, I say okay an awful lot. I apologize for that. But got all that mixed in there, just like such. And it's a little, you're going to find it to be maybe a little dry, and it should be. That's kind of the beauty of, that it's a firmer cookie recipe. So, the last thing we have to do is get all this cleaned up. Once I get all this cleaned up and I get my cookie sheets out, we'll put these on the cookie sheets and talk about how to bake them. Alright, be right back. Okay, so got my baking sheets out, and normally you would line these with parchment paper, but I just found out I am out of parchment paper. That's okay though. I got wax paper. Wax paper's been used for a bazillion years, so I can't imagine that, and baking. So we are going to use wax paper this evening. Now, this particular cookie sheet, I don't have to wax. I don't have to use anything. The only thing with most cookie sheets is you just don't want to like spray anything on them or anything like that. But all I'm going to do is we're going to take. No, put it away. You want these to weigh about 55 grams. Let me go grab my scale real quick.
Yeah.
Yep, my scale. So what we'll do is, I'm just using a cookie spoon, but they weigh about 55 grams, and that's 49. And the important thing with these is you have a consistency to them. And then we're just going to put them on the sheet, and we're going to take our hand, our finger, get them wet. That way nothing sticks to them. And we're just going to press them down so they're about a ½ inch big. A ½ inch thick. Just like that. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. We'll do one more though. So we're going to take our scoop, about 55 grams, just like such. We'll take it off, put it down, just like such. Wet fingers, push it down so it's about a ½ inch. And you want about 3 inches of space. Now these cookies should make, this recipe should make right around 20 cookies doing it this way. Alright, well I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the sheet done up, and then we'll talk about what to put, what we're going to do in the oven. Oh yes, Billy.
Right? Same.
Flattening the cookies.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, flatten that one. Oh, don't push hard. There you go. They just really, here, I'll show you. Really lightly, like that. There you go. There you go.
Ew.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, we got this last one to flatten out, and we'll be ready to put them in the oven.
Uh-huh.
Yep, I had help from Miss Abby. She helped me flatten them out. Flatten the curve. Ooh, don't open that yet. We gotta, let's wash our hands off real quick. All right, use the towel there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so what do we gotta do with these cookies?
Fire.
So these cookies, we are going to put them in the oven, 350 degrees, which was preheated, right? And we are going to bake them. Sorry if I'm really stranded in my head. For about 12 to 14 minutes. Now, I'm going to look at 12 minutes to start, and we'll take it from there. So what are we looking for to know if they're done or not? Like I said earlier, the outside edges should be crisp and golden brown. The center of the cookie should look just slightly wet, and it'll be soft. It'll still be soft, okay? So start checking them at 12 minutes. Every oven's different, so it's going to vary. You might even want to start checking at 10. But that's what you're looking for. So when I come back, we'll take a look at these cookies and see how they turned out. All right, see you in a sec. Okay, so we just pulled them out of the oven. How well you can see it, but they are got a nice golden crust around the edge, and they all still look a little wet. So what do we do next? Well, we're going to let them sit here on this pan, or on the cookie sheet, for about 2 minutes. Let them cool down a little bit so they're not all wiggly jiggly. And then after that, we will put them here on this rack to completely cool. I got the other ones in the oven, so when they're all done, completely cooled, we'll come back and we'll try one and see how they taste. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 millisecond. So we let them cool. Down to room temperature. Well, most of them are cool. Those last few aren't yet. I think we're going to give one a shot, but there we are. They're quite beautiful. Closed up shot there, and as you can see, it's got the chocolate chips and the raisins and the walnuts in it, the oats. It looks really good. Now, I would tell you real quick, as I said a minute ago, I used wax paper instead of parchment paper on my cookie sheets. Now, they do keep them non-stick. Here's some things to watch out for, and I don't really recommend using wax paper if you don't have to, by any means. If you are not careful, if it's something that you're baking that takes a long time, or like you use it instead of parchment paper on a cake, things of that nature, or a high temperature, 400 degrees plus, your wax paper can melt. It can catch fire. So I don't recommend you use it all the time by any stretch. But I was out of parchment paper and I knew at 350 we would probably be okay. I want you to be aware of that in case you go, oh, well, Brian used wax paper, we could use it, and then something goes awry. I would feel bad if I didn't tell you. So that being said, if you can use parchment paper, absolutely. I just used wax paper because I knew it wasn't going to catch fire. I knew it wasn't going to melt. 350 wasn't really hot enough, and the amount of time that it was going to spend in the oven, it wouldn't give it enough time to do anything. So that being said, let's try one of these cookies now that I've done my public service announcement. That is a fully loaded cookie. That was walnuts, that was raisins, that's chocolate chips, that's oatmeal. It's sweet. It's just, man, that's a good cookie. That's a lot of business all at once. I like that cookie. This has been so long since I've had an oatmeal cookie, especially one loaded like this. And like I said, you don't have to put all those options in there. You don't have to do chocolate chips and raisins and walnuts and, all that stuff. You can run with one, none, or all. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing. Those are all just options. But I wanted one that was fully loaded. So try this recipe. If you like oatmeal cookies, especially ones with raisins or chocolate chips or nuts in it, or all three, like this case, this is a good recipe. I would definitely run with this as a staple, as an oatmeal cookie in my household. Hands down. All right, well, I think that's it for this video. Next week, we're going to make a valid attempt to do the crab and glass noodle dish, which will be really good. It's a stir fry that I think you'll enjoy. I found the recipe a while back. Actually, I think my friend Rob gave it to me. and we have it on our Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, you should check our group out. It's Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I know I post stuff there all the time, and so do other people. You know, and it's a good place if you have questions. You know, a lot of the people in the group are very informative, and it's a good place to learn. It's a safe environment. You know, nobody's going to downfault you, things like that. Or, I mean, you can just, you know, ask your questions. Ask a question down here or whatever. But we're going to try the crab and glass noodles next week. And I think we're finally going to get around to making that blueberry cheesecake. But I really wanted to try these oatmeal cookies. You know, when he asked me about them, I thought, you know what, we haven't had one in a long time, and I really wanted to try them. So, try these. Let me know what you think. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm game. Let me know what you do in your oatmeal cookies. Or how you make them, for that matter. So, I love you. I love you very much. I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them, and you love them very much. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. And if you make them some of these oatmeal cookies, they're going to know it's true. This is going to put a smile a mile wide on anybody's face. So I'll see you next week where we'll do dinner and dessert again. All right? Talk to you later. Bye.